All right, so that covers all of these. Just a brief overview here. When you're using the page select, this is moving the tabs. Okay, the layers, this just gives you the ability to move up and down. You'll notice here it's on high, then it's mid-low, then it's low, and you'll notice it also corresponds to what's going on over here. All right, the two other features over here on the top, this is our monitor. You guys are not using this. I love this feature. I use it all the time. What this enables me to do is to plug in some wedges right here, and I set one here and one there, and this is the volume control for them so that if I need to create a mix for TV, like in our application, we mix TV live as well as the sanctuary sound. And so I will turn the house system off and I'll turn these up. So I'm just listening to these wedges and I do my TV mix, which is sent out on my matrices on the bottom. The next one down below it is headphone mix, same thing. You have headphones. Yeah, this particular one should have headphone jacks on either end of the board. You can plug it in there. The headphone jacks are used. If you solo a channel, you should hear it in the headphones here. The dim is just if you've got the monitors going on here and somebody says something to you and you just want to turn them down without having to change your level there, you can just press that button. Over here, talkback mic. Talkback mic is important in a couple of different manners. You can use the internal talkback mic, which is right here. And most folks don't realize this. If I press the view, there is the internal and external mic. So I can turn on the external mic and plug something into this, or I can use the internal mic, which is this one right here. And if I assign this, like I'm gonna put this into mix bus 1 right now, and if I turn this up, and I'm gonna latch it so I don't have to hold it as well. So now when I press this button, this is on now. I should talk into the check, 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 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Well, if the speakers or the amps and all were turned on, you would hear my voice right now in the floor wedges up there. So you have the ability, I use A and B like this. A, I generally use if I want to talk to the people on the stage. I use B, I'll route it. I call this the announcement mic. Please silence your cell phones. The movie will be beginning in 5 minutes. So I set this one up. If you go to the view, you have the ability to set each of these individually. So I will scroll this down to the left, right, and the center channel. So now if I latch this and I'm talking over here, check, 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 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this is coming out of the mains. So on the B channel, if I need to talk to the audience, I'm now talking to the audience this way. Of course, it's easier if you put a microphone in there rather than kissing the console, but you know. Now there's one other feature which I absolutely love, I use it all the time, is the oscillator. And you might think, what the heck, and why would I want to use that? Well, if you're trying to identify exactly the problem we're talking about, I have mix bus 1 selected, I turn the generator on. Whatever is driving your monitors is now receiving a signal, but as you can see, there is no sound in the house. Let's go to 2, no sound in the house, but watch what happens when I go down to your mix bus left and right. See, it's there. So you have a problem with your monitors. The amp is not powered on or something of that nature. This also gives us the ability to test the speakers. Like if I want to go in and
where are you at on
the oscillator is in the monitor,
That's
the
fine.
top. So by going over here, it gives me the ability to, I can check the speakers. Like if you think you have a blown horn, if I know that speaker should go up to 16K,
Cats are howling.
I know your horn's good because I can hear it. And if you think your sub's blown, you just roll it down.
Teach me that.
So they are. So anyway, nice little fancy feature. It's the ability to test components within your sound system from the console without having to take them down and pull the components and test them individually. It covers this. Your scenes. Okay, this is, let's see if you guys are using that already. So this just gives you the ability to save whatever's on the board. Real great functionality there is somebody comes in that's got a full band. They just want to plug into your sound system and perform on stage. And they come in and you're like, all our channels are full. You can create a new scene, blow all these out, load up everything you want, save a scene, you know, nighttime, Sunday night performance, XYZ band. save it as a scene in here. When they leave, unplug everything. You go back in and recall Sunday morning set, and boom, the board jumps back to where it is. This gives you the ability to do those sorts of things, and you're obviously using them already. It's done through loading. You scroll up and down which one you want to load, and you press enter, and it loads it up. It'll ask you if you want to. This is also yes and no, by the way. Yes, boom, everything goes back, and it saves all the settings. I'll give you this, but I don't want you to mess with it. I'm just going to overview this, because if you do, you'll end up with nightmarish things. But when you go over to snippets, this just gives you the ability to save certain things without changing other things. Like an example would be somebody's going to come up and do a solo, and they brought their own mic this Sunday. They want to take their mic and plug into the board. So you bring the mic in. We go down to, say, these other channels that are not being used right now, and we put them right here. Well, I want to be able to save this scene because maybe he's coming back to sing again tonight. So what I do is I go in and select and I save it, but I don't want him to change the routings of the console. I want the routings to stay the same, but I want to save his effects and his name and that kind of stuff. I can go in here and select the various things that I want to save and turn off the things that I don't want to save, so that I don't inadvertently change something that shouldn't be changed. I don't really recommend you guys using it. I just want to show it to you since it's a button and a knob on here. Same thing is true with parameter safes. Parameter safe says I can tell it you can't change the mix buses, you can't change the route sends. If I select any of these, no matter what you do over here, you cannot modify those certain features. And right now you have the board wide open, so it just says anything that you save over here is saved to the scenes, period. You could change the routing and save it over here, and it's going to save it, which can be good, can be bad. Same thing with channel safe. You can make minor changes to the channels, but when you save the scene, it either does or doesn't save them based on whether you've checked these boxes or not. The last one over is MIDI. You guys aren't using it, but you could actually create within your scene list the ability to have a go button over here. So let's say you're using this in an Easter pageant, and scene 1 has just that mic on. Scene 2 has the choir sing. Scene 3 has Neil playing piano and singing. So you could create a scene for each of those settings, and by storing it to a MIDI controller over here, you could say, go scene 1. When scene 1 is over, load scene 2, play scene 2. So now the choir sing. Load scene 3, play scene 3. Now Neil's singing and playing. So, okay, this little section right down here, this is user programmable. You have the ability, this is default, which is control of your effects. This is your tap time delay. When you snap this in tempo to the music, or these in tempo to the music, it makes the delays follow that. But you can see you can press B and press C, and it gives you the ability to change it. Now, if you hit the view button, it pulls it up here. I have the ability within here to change what each of these scenes are. Like I'm on layer 4, which is my user programmable layer right now. So if I wanted to make this encoder be a specific channel, I could say, I'm going to select the channel. What channel? So I could do channel 12. What I can do is select that channel and scroll down here. Let's make that selected channel be dynamic gain. All right, so that's what I'm going to set. I'm going to assign it to set. Whoops, I meant to do that on C, not A. Let's put that back where it was. 1 should have been sends. Yeah, there we go. So now let's go over to C. That's where I want to be, because that's what we're actually looking at here. So encoder 1 is going to be a selected channel, and I'm going to make it be the fader. Yeah. So now whatever channel I have selected over here, you notice that pops up. So what I've done is this gives me the ability to adjust this gain from this knob. But you can do any, I mean, you can set any of the...
Right now.
Do what?
If you unmuted, I'm on.
Oh, you are on?
Yeah,
On this channel?
yeah. Okay.
I think you're on the
Hello?
lapel. Yeah. Yeah, so you're on...
Test.
Yeah, you're on the lapel. So you see, notice what's happening? How I'm adjusting that volume level here by doing this. So here's the advantage of that. Let's say, for instance, you're down on this level and you're watching something going on here, but your pastor gets up speaking, you go, oh, he's not loud enough. Rather than having to jump over here and then grab his level, you can just move this right here, and now you're turning the pastor up without having to go to the other level. You can assign these things to be any of the things that are like here. So I could go to encoder number 2. Now I could change the color of it. You know, I can be blue, whatever color I want to be. And I can say, I want that to be an effects parameter. does. So that's all of these. Now the mute groups. Again, I use the mute groups a lot because my philosophy is if I'm not using a mic, I don't need it to be open for multiple reasons. Somebody can come by and kick the mic stand and it make a terrible noise. More likely than not, the problem would be if something starts feeding back on stage and you have no idea what it is, but it's not being used and it's a choir mic or it's a random instrument mic over there and it's just hollering and you're like, I have no idea what channel that is. So if you program, if you know like, okay, everybody sings, everything's live, now the pastor's gonna speak and I wanna keep the keyboard open so if Neil wants to play while the pastor's doing the invitation or something, but the full group's not up there, I can turn his microphone on and his keyboard on and the pastor's lapel mic, and by hitting a mute group over here, I can mute everything but that. So I know if there's a feedback issue, it's on only possible 3 instruments. Keyboard, which doesn't feed back, so it's either Neil's mic or the pastor's mic. So immediately it helps me narrow down where my problems can be because I don't have a bunch of open mics. On the X32. So the first thing to be able to do is select the channel that we're going to be structuring, and then we're going to go over to our upper left-hand corner and we're going to be adjusting this knob. But before we do, we want to take the center fader and we're going to bring it to 0. Because you'll see this little box area right here, that is the best signal to noise ratio on this fader. So that's why they put the little box, that's the starting point. Then I'm gonna go, I turn it completely left so it's off, and then I'm gonna talk in the mic because, again, every person that talks on the mic, some talk like this, some talk like this, and some talk in the middle. So you have to do it with the person that's actually gonna be singing on the mic. So I'm gonna take it from me, and I'm gonna gradually bring it up. And what I wanna do is I wanna get it so I am just getting a good solid yellow flicker right here. I don't want it to be in the red. I don't want it to be, a lot of them, will look like that, like you'll just have one. This is probably the typical setting that most people do. They get like one green with a flicker on the other, but listen, you don't hear me very well. And so then what happens is you have to go downstream and overgain. So what you're gaining is a lot of noise, because like right now, my voice is probably 15% of the signal and air is the rest of it. So what I want to do is make sure that I'm getting plenty of signal, and plenty of signal is being able to be, so that I'm pretty consistent on the first yellow. And then if I get real loud, I can get up into the second yellow. But then we're going to use our compression limiting and those sorts of things. So we're just going to start here. So right now, this to this is appropriately gain stage. You just want to be able to get, like I said, a good yellow flicker on the first one consistently. It flickers into the second one. If it goes into the red, you're absolutely too hot. If it stays down just on the bottom greens, you're too low. So that would be the gain structure. Now again, if this were a condenser microphone, I would turn on the phantom power, but it's not, wireless mics do not need it. That would be the appropriate gain stage. Now, take it to the middle level. This has actually been assigned a DC, no it hasn't. So we'll talk about that. If I wanted to assign the vocal mics, let's just say for instance, I wanted to make all of the choir mics on a DCA group. And you say, well, why would I want to do that? Here would be an example. Let's say, for instance, I have like channels 1 through 4 would be like a soprano, an alto, a tenor, and a bass, okay? And I tweak their volume levels, and I got their compressors set, and everything is great, and they are perfectly balanced, and they sound like one beautiful voice. But then we start the concert, and you realize, oh, they're too loud. Well, now you have to go over here and proportionately grab every one of the faders and bring them down. Or you can create a subgroup. So like we don't have anything on these DCAs, so I'm gonna do this. So here's what we do. We press the select button, and while we hold it, we would add those 4 channels. Now what would happen, I'm gonna add the channel I'm on now. Now you notice I just disappeared, but now what happens is as I bring this up, now I'm in the mix. As I bring this down, I'm not. Now, so now you'll see what I have here. I have a good level here. I have a good level here, and I have a good level here. This is an appropriately gain stage channel. Now, this is your master output. Now, in answer to your question, because you did bring up a really good question, why are we running this fader down to here if all of these are set right? Shouldn't this be run there? And it's a 2-part answer to your question. No, with the way you have your amp set right now, but yes, you actually should set your board so that you run it there. How do you do that? You have to go back to your amplifiers, your DSP processors, and turn them to the point that when you set this at 0, your house level is right. So it's an incorrect setting back there that's causing you to have to run this incorrectly. Fortunately, in the setting that you have right now, it's not, if you were having to run the board way down here, we would have to go fix it back there. But you're almost to the correct point anyway, you're at the bottom end of that, so it doesn't create a major issue. If we were having to run it way up here or way down here, I would go time out and go back there and dial your amps in. But anyway, that's that, so you're correct at where you are right now, you probably do want to run it there. That concludes the gain structure.